Today, we will be talking about palm reading, and the technical term is palmistry. Palmistry is the belief that man's destiny is imprinted on his hands, and it has a long history. Prophets of the Old Testament believed that God set his seal on man in this way, and even today it is argued that an accurate interpretation of the configuration of the hand can enable a man to recognize and change his fate. Actually, hands have fascinated man since prehistoric times, able to shape tools, make impressions in clay, and trace signs in the dust. They must have seemed magically endowed possessions that gave him a power over nature that was denied to animals. Later, man came to regard his hand not only as instruments of power, but also as mirrors of his destiny, a prehistoric book of faith in which he could discern, though an initiative sensibility more than his reason could make known to him. The first steps had taken in the part of palmistry of chiromancy, a method of divination through studying the lines, mounts, valleys, and other configurations on the palms, together with the shape, size, and texture of the hands themselves. The tradition that every line, star, point, cross, square, island, and triangle in the hand is significant. It has therefore been perpetuated for countless generations, and like other practitioners of the art, there's a belief that there's a relationship between these physical features and man natures. The claim by the 20th century German psychologist Ernest Kretzmer is that there is a connection between physique and psychotic illness, and the increasing conviction among medical men of the psychosomatic nature of many diseases supports the view that there is an interaction between the body and the mind. The occultist goes further and says that there is a constant interplay, not only between the physical and the mental, but also between the spiritual as well. The palmist stresses the importance of the apparently haphazard markings and formations of the hands as indications of character, but believes in addition in these the past and the future may be read. There are those who regard palmistry as a rational science, and others who believe that clairvoyance must be brought to bear when an interpretation is made. A number of ancient books concerning this art exist, and many modern ones. There are also societies which instruct students in palmistry. The superficial reader of hands is content to flatter the person which consults him by stressing such virtues as courage, straightforwardness, and warmth of heart. He speaks of sadness experienced only in the past and paints a picture of a successful and happy future. This is generally all that is obtained from the gypsy woman who reads palms while begging for a silver comb. But every now and then a passing gypsy will suddenly be visited with the gift of seeing into the future and will be impelled to give a quick reading that may prove startlingly true. She will refuse to take a penny for it. Materialists will dismiss the matter as a hoax, but it is unlikely that such an old and trusted art is without some foundation in truth. It is interesting that today, when serious palmists make impressions of the hands, they read and the findings are typewritten and kept for verification. There is striking accuracy of both character reading and prediction is sometimes obtained. Palmistry may be studied under three headings. First, correlation between the hands and the physical or mental states might be called medical or therapeutic chiromancy. And some palmists are extremely good at diagnosing the nature of an illness. Secondly, correlation between the hands and the character could be called psychotherapeutic. primacy. The palmist must describe the consultant's character in detail, praise the good qualities, and point out the weak ones. Thirdly, there is correlation between the hands and the past, the present, and the future. This is divinatory chiromancy, and what the palmist has to say about the past may be verified. The present is, of course, clear, but that which is predicted for the future may well be taken by several grains of salt. The danger so far as prediction is concerned is that the consultant may accept that a tragedy is inevitable and may allow this to prey on his mind. Some people are so suggestible that they themselves may unconsciously bring about a predicted disaster. Therefore, a high-minded palmist will never foretell misfortune or death without very carefully qualifying the reading and showing how the tragedy may be averted. When preparing to read, it is necessary to be analytical, and each line, mount, and so on should be described separately. But in the actual reading, it is essential to interrelate all these features. Each line should be studied in conjunction with all other markers on the hand, or the reading will be out of focus. In addition, both hands must be brought into relation with each other, for the left preserves a person's inherited disposition, while the right reflects what he makes of himself, that is, his positive or negative reactions to his fate. The titles and placings of the lines, bracelets, mounts, valleys, and planes, stars, points, squares, triangles, and islands must be mastered by the student of palmistry. The diagrams that are in this video, they show a detailed study of the palmistry that is necessary to be appropriate and to appreciate the arts and the vast amount of information that may be obtained from reading the hands. A doctor may be able to tell when a patient's physique, the type of illness he is likely to suffer, and in the same way the palmist claims that he can detect tendencies towards cancer, tuberculosis, asthma, heart trouble, and so on by studying the physical characteristics of the hand. The validity of such a debate is uncertain, although much support evidence is offered by palmists who specialize in diagnosis. They also claim a substantiate or complement the findings of modern psychologists, and certainly if specific physical characteristics indicate a phenomenon of specific physical illnesses, they may well do the same with psychoneurosis as well. The occult theory that the physical body is extruded or solidified from an etheric pattern called the astral suggests that the hands express in their form and configurations the subtle mental and spiritual essence or core of an individual. The driving power of the unconscious might be said to determine the outer or bodily appearance, and the palmist sees this force making itself apparent in the hands as the phoenix sees it in the configurations of the skull. A palmist will start interpreting the characteristics of a client's hand almost from the moment they first meet. To start with, he notices what kind of hand he, or more likely she, possesses and what kind of handshake they exchange. Is the hand firm and friendly, or is it weak or flabby? The first key to the client's personality is therefore indicated that she is strong or weak, nervous or assured, pampered or hardworking. Having made these observations, the palmist holds the consultant's hands in his and studies their shape. If they are long, a gift for detail and deliberation is indicated, while if they are small, they are likely to be intuitive and impetuous. But if the client constantly withdraws her hands and gesticulates gracefully, it means that he or she will be successful at social gatherings. But if her gestures are violent, she is likely to be aggressive and high-strung. A woman who clenches her hands as a restless, frustrated, self-reliant, and dynamic person. If she has a way of extending her little finger elegantly, this is a sign that she is moody. The way the client holds his fingers is another key to his character. The basic character is revealed in the left hand, in which the inherited pattern is shown. A series of small lines and chains on the life lane tells a physical weakness, but also may indicate a varied, nomadic, or unstable background. A double line has a meaning as well, and a meandering line suggests that the client lacks a clear goal. And the way in which the lifeline terminates is significant. A forked terminal may mean feebleness in old age, which is to be expected. However, the depressing future foretold by these indications may be mitigated if the client deliberately strengthens herself both physically and mentally. Once the palmist has interpreted the innate qualities and tendencies shown in his client's left hand, he will read the right one, making comparisons with the other from time to time. Plain hands showing scarcely any marks are rare, but they do occur. What can be a strange and alarming blankness to the person concerned does not indicate death, life in a mental hospital, or an isolated existence, nor does it mean that he or she is without significance. The Bible contains many references to hands. God is said to have shaped man from the dust of the earth with his hands. Adam put forth his hand to take the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and Cain turned his hand against every man. It is said that God seals up the hand of every man, that all men may know his work, and of wisdom, that long life is in her right hand, and in her left hand are riches and honor. The prophets ascribed the signs on hands to the imprint of God, placed there so that men could learn to understand themselves and recognize their destiny as God's instruments for establishing the kingdom of heaven on earth. This could mean that the powers of destruction, atomic otherwise, will not prevail. God has set his seal upon man's hand, and because they have been marked or destined by him, good must triumph in the end.